Hi guys, Miss King here, and in this screencast we're going to look at aerobic respiration. If you think about your word bites, air is a prefix that means oxygen. So aerobic respiration is going to require oxygen. Another name for aerobic respiration is cellular respiration. And this is simply the process of releasing energy, which is in the form of ATP, from the food that we eat in the presence of oxygen. So this is the reason why we breathe. We have to have this oxygen to break down our food to make energy for all the things that our body needs to do. We need to look at the chemical equation of cellular respiration. We must have oxygen, so 6 O2s. And then we must have some kind of food, usually in the form of sugar, C6H12O6. And then we're going to make some carbon dioxide waste, so 6 CO2s. We're also going to make some water waste, some 6 H2O. And then the final product, the main product, is our energy molecule, which is ATP. So this equation should look pretty familiar because it is exactly the opposite of photosynthesis. When we did photosynthesis, we took carbon dioxide and water and we used light energy and we converted that into glucose sugar, which is food for the plant, and then the waste product was oxygen. So plants do the opposite in photosynthesis as animals do for aerobic respiration. Now, plants, once they make the food from photosynthesis, they will also have to complete cellular respiration to get ATP energy. So plants also do this as well as animals. This is not something that's exclusive only to animals. Cellular respiration happens in 3 steps or 3 parts. The first phase or the first step is called glycolysis. And glycolysis is going to happen in the cytoplasm. And again, if you think about word bites, glyco means sugar and lysis means to break apart. So we're literally breaking apart sugar in step 1. Also, because this occurs in the cytoplasm, no oxygen is required. So let's put that on there. No O2 is required. Now, step 2 is going to be called the Krebs cycle. Krebs, after the person that, I guess, discovered this cycle of chemical reactions. So the Krebs cycle is going to occur inside the mitochondria. Okay, so what we're making over here in glycolysis in step 1 is actually going to enter the mitochondria, and here's my nice little picture of the mitochondria, and it's going to go through the second phase. Once the second phase is complete, then we're going to stay in the mitochondria and we're going to do the third step, which is called the electron transport chain. And we're going to abbreviate that to the ETC. Okay, so just to add to our picture, out here in the cytoplasm, we're going to do glycolysis, which is step 1. And then we're going to enter and do the Krebs cycle. And we're also going to do the ETC inside of our mitochondria. And that's what this thing is right here. Okay. Glycolysis, by the way, this is the sort of the beginning process. So let's put that this begins our process by providing NADH, NADH, and a special molecule called pyruvate. And that molecule is going to be used to do the Krebs cycle and for the electron transport chain. So we will need the NADH, which is our energy carrier for our hydrogens, and our pyruvate to do step 2 and step 3. So we have to make these things during this first step out in the cytoplasm. All right, so let's take a little closer look at cellular respiration. So just sort of an overall overview of cell respiration. Again, here's our equation at the top. We're going to take oxygen and food, sugar, and we're going to convert it into energy, and that's going to give us some waste products. So again, let's go ahead and label. This is our mitochondria. And the first step is glycolysis. And it happens in the cytoplasm. This big circle thing is our mitochondria, so that has to happen outside of the mitochondria. And then again, our Krebs and ETC will happen on the inside of the mitochondria. All right, so I'm going to change my pen color. I'm going to use red for this. So the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to eat some food. So let's go ahead and put our C6H12O6. Okay, and again, that's glucose, which we get from our food. And this glucose is going to enter into the mitochondria after glycolysis has occurred. And this has to take place in the presence of oxygen, so we're going to also use our 6O2s. All right, and we get this oxygen by breathing in the air. So when we breathe, we're inhaling oxygen. So let's put that, that's called inhaling. All right, so our oxygen is also going to enter into our mitochondria after glycolysis. Now, once our glucose has been broken down in glycolysis, we're going to use some special enzymes. Remember, enzymes help with chemical reactions. And those enzymes are going to help us to break down all these chemicals even further. Now, once we have broken everything down, we're going to get our products. So up here, we're going to have 6 CO2s. Now, CO2 is a waste product, so we're going to get rid of it. It's going to leave our cells. Let's go ahead and put that that's a waste. And we get rid of carbon dioxide, again, by breathing. And this occurs when we exhale. Okay, so over here we're breathing in or inhaling the oxygen, and over here we're breathing out the carbon dioxide waste. All right, we're also going to produce down here 6 water molecules. And water in cellular respiration is also going to be considered a waste product. So let's go ahead and label that as a waste product. And that's actually going to come out in our sweat and urine. So that's kind of why we have to go to the bathroom. We're producing extra water when we break down our food. Okay, now the main product that we're going to make here, we're going to put in this middle box, and that is our ATP molecules, and we're actually going to make about 36 ATPs. Okay, and those ATPs, those are our main product. That is the whole reason why we're doing cell respiration, so that we can get energy. Okay, and that energy is going to be for our cells to use. Okay, they're going to need that energy, and it's going to be used in the form of breaking down calories. Okay. All right, now, sort of when this happens as a byproduct, I'm going to change my pen color. When all of this is going on, all these chemical reactions, we're going to be producing one other byproduct, and that's heat. Okay, this heat, we need to stay in the body. Okay, we need this heat to maintain our body temperature. And think about our body temperature. What is the correct body temperature supposed to be? Our normal body temp. Okay, if you said 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, then you're correct. And this is one way that our body helps to maintain homeostasis. Okay, so cellular respiration is a large part of our metabolism, and our metabolism, those chemical reactions, are how we help to maintain homeostasis. Okay, so let's take what we just did for cellular respiration and let's break it down just a little bit more detailed, and let's look at each step one at a time. And we're going to start with glycolysis because it's the most difficult step that has to occur. So in glycolysis, we're going to start with our glucose molecule. So here's our glucose. I'm going to change my pen color so you can see it better. All right, so our glucose is a 6-carbon compound, and you can see here the little gray circles. That's 6 carbons, so that's a 6-carbon molecule. And what we want to do is break it. Remember we said glycolysis means to break sugar. So I want to break it in two. So let's put that we want to break the glucose into 2 3-carbon compounds. Okay, so this is going to be one 3-carbon compound, and this is going to be another 3-carbon compound. And we can see right here, we're going to take some ATP, 2 ATP molecules, and we're going to turn them into ADP molecules. So that means we're using the energy, we're releasing the energy from that ATP. And what we're going to do when we use this ATP is we're going to rearrange our 3-carbon compounds. Okay, so right here we have 2 3-carbon compounds. Here's one, and here's the second one, and we're going to rearrange them. And they're going to be rearranged into 2 molecules called pyruvate or pyruvic acid. That's the same thing as pyruvate. Okay, now in order for us to rearrange the molecules into pyruvic acids, we're going to need to make 4 ATPs. Okay, and then we're also going to make a couple of NADH molecules. So we're making these. We're going to take some of the hydrogens and connect them to our NAD molecule, our NAD plus molecule, and they're going to carry those hydrogens to the electron transport chain for us. Okay, so once we rearrange our 2 molecules, we will have pyruvic acid. Okay, so right here, during this step, when we rearranged our molecules to make pyruvate, and we made our 4 ATPs, we're actually only gaining 2 molecules of ATPs. And the reason for that is because over here we had to use 2. So we used 2 here, we made 4 here, so that gives us a net gain of 2 ATPs from glycolysis. Okay, so our 2 main products that we made in this step were our 2 ATPs, our 2 NADHs, and our pyruvic acid. Okay, the NADH and the ATPs are going to go over to, well, the ATP is going to be used for whatever we need it for, but the NADH is going to go to the electron transport chain, the ETC, and the pyruvic acid is going to go to the Krebs cycle. Okay, so that's where we're going to actually enter the mitochondria at this point and do part 2. So let's take a look at this diagram. Is going to kind of show us what's going on. Again, let's go ahead and label this whole thing right here as our mitochondria, and then out here is our cytoplasm. We just talked about glycolysis that happens in the cytoplasm, so I'm going to put that right there. The Krebs cycle is second, and it's inside of our mitochondria, so we'll put that right here in the little cycle picture. And then our ETC is step 3, which is also inside the mitochondria. Okay, now we just took our glucose and we broke it down. And when we broke down our glucose, we made a couple of products. We made NADH, so right here in glycolysis, our NADH is going to go to the ETC, so I'm going to put that right there. We also made pyruvic acid. So our pyruvic acid is going to go to the Krebs cycle, so I'm going to put that right here. And then we made 2 ATP molecules. Okay, and there's my 2 ATP molecules. Now, in the process of doing this, we're also going to produce 2 carbon dioxide waste molecules. So we'll put that down here as well. Okay, now once glycolysis is complete, we're going to go inside the mitochondria. So our pyruvic acid is going to come inside the Krebs cycle, and it's going to be used to make another ATP molecule. So 2 more ATP molecules. The pyruvic acid is also going to be used to make 4 more carbon dioxides. So here's our 6 carbon dioxides. There's 2 and 4 make 6. And that's where we get our 6 carbon dioxide waste molecules from glycolysis and Krebs. All right, and then also in this process, we're going to make a whole bunch of these NADH molecules, and another one called FADH2. It's kind of the same thing as the NAD molecules, only it carries 2 hydrogens instead of 1, so it's also an energy carrier. So all of these NADHs that we made and the FADH that we made, all of these things are going to come over here to the electron transport chain, and they're going to be used to make around 32 to 34 ATPs. And we're also going to produce some water as a waste product. So the water waste comes from the ETC. And the majority of our ATP molecules are going to come from the electron transport chain. So this is the most important part of the cell respiration process, because this is where the majority of our ATP is going to be made. Okay, and that's basically the parts for cellular respiration. It's divided into 3 phases: glycolysis, Krebs, and the ETC. And each phase is going to have a different product and reactant that's going to be made. Okay. All right, be ready to talk about the process in class. See you then.